Welcome. Here we are again, and now we are going to talk about one of the children of the Roman Empire. In the last lesson, we killed the Roman Empire. It's gone. The Germanic tribes invaded, settled, and now they live there. But before we actually talk about them in the next lesson, we have to talk about one of Rome's children. In many ways, Islam, the culture of Islam, the Muslims, inherited a great deal of Rome. I would say that the natural children of Rome, the Germanic tribes, did not like their parents. They rejected many of what their parents had left. And Islam, the adoptive child, adopted many of the ideas, culture, what Rome was adopted by Islam. So, we are going to start, and as you can see here, apart from talking about Islam as the heir of the Roman civilization in many ways, in some ways, we are also going to talk about Islam as a religion, because Islam is a religion. After Christianity is the second world religion, and also it spread faster than any other religion in the world. And it has, I believe today, about, I'm not sure today, but the last count I remember, it was about 1 billion followers of Islam. So it's a very important religion. So we are going to talk about it. You may have noticed that we are talking a great deal about religion in this class, because religion is a very important part of what a culture is. And just as we talked about Christianity and the origin of Christianity, now we are going to talk about Islam. And we are going to, or you are going to, because we are not going to do it now, but you are going to try to find some of the similarities and some of the differences between Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, which in many ways Judaism is the parent religion of both, of Islam and of Christianity. As you watch the video about Muhammad that is part of this lesson, and as you read the documents of this lesson, you are going to find that just like Christianity at some point, mainly with Paul of Tarsus, split from Judaism and became a separate religion, something similar happened with Islam. Muhammad at the beginning was hoping that Islam would be like a continuation of Judaism. But then when he started having conflicts with the Jews who lived in Arabia, in the Arabian Peninsula, Islam split also from Judaism and became a separate religion. So there is a great deal of similarities between the way Christianity separated and the way Muhammad separated. Also, just as with Christianity, the first persecutors of Christianity were Jews, and also some of the Jewish people started not precisely persecuting but antagonizing Muhammad. And so this is not Islam. This is the map that we have been seeing for the last 2 or 3 lessons. This is the map of, here is the Mediterranean Sea, and this is what was the Roman Empire. But if you remember, the Roman Empire split into 2, and the western part of the Roman Empire, so the Western Roman Empire, is what we called Western civilization, and the eastern part, with its capital here at Constantinople, eventually became known as the Byzantine Empire. They were the real empire, and they were the real Roman Empire. So why am I showing you this map? Because here, next to the Byzantine Empire, is the Arabian Peninsula. And the Arabian Peninsula is where Islam was born. Where in the Iberian Peninsula? Okay, here is the Mediterranean Sea. Here is the eastern. Of course, this is a present-day map, but here is the Arabian Peninsula. Today we call it Saudi Arabia because the House of Saudi rules the Arabian Peninsula. And today there are many other countries apart from Saudi Arabia. There are many other countries in the Arabian Peninsula. But at that time, the time that we are talking about, around the 5th, 6th century, it was the Arabian Peninsula was all this, and the people who lived there were mostly Bedouins. You are going to read more about them, about their lifestyle, but I want you to see these cities here. One city is called Medina, and the other city is called Mecca, and it is on this route that the trade took place around here. And the trade started here in what at that time was the Byzantine Empire. So the Byzantine people had contact, very, very close contact with those who run the trade along this route. But there is something I want you to see, because it's perhaps the place for Islam. It's the most important place, and it's this one. I'm sure you've seen pictures of this, and I'm sure you've heard of this. The Kaaba. And the Kaaba is important because inside of the Kaaba there is a stone, a rock, and it's a rock that it's been there for long time, even before Muhammad. In fact, this stone, the sacred stone, was worshipped by the Bedouins before Muhammad. But then Muhammad gave it a new meaning, and the meaning is that rock was sent by God to Abraham as a sign of the covenant between God and the people who lived here. One of the most important activities of a Muslim in his or her lifetime is to come here. And you see, of course, at the beginning the Kaaba was there and there was nothing else. There was not even a mosque. But now you can see how it looks like today. This is the huge mosque. It's not the largest mosque in the world, but it's one of the largest. What you see here are the minarets. The minarets are the hallmark of every mosque. Every mosque has to have minarets. And the minarets are the place from where the imam is one, like we would say, almost like a priest, but the imam calls for prayer. So you are going to read all about Muhammad, and you are going to read about the Quran. And the Quran is, to the Muslims, what the Bible, Old and New Testament, is for the Christians, or what the Bible, the Jewish Bible, is for the Jews. So the Quran, Muslims believe, is where all what God wanted Muhammad to know is written. The way Muslims believe it happened was Muhammad listened to the angel, who happened to be the Archangel Gabriel, and this is one of the interesting commonalities between all three religions, because the Archangel Gabriel is considered to be the messenger of God. So Gabriel came, you remember, came to Mary to announce to her that she was going to be the mother of Jesus, and Gabriel also came to Muhammad as messenger from God to tell Muhammad that he, Muhammad, was the next prophet. And so everything that God wanted Muhammad to know, Gabriel told Muhammad. And Muslims believe that Muhammad, what he heard from Gabriel, he repeated, and then his secretaries wrote it down. So, and that is what the Quran is about. So the Quran was dictated by Muhammad, not all at the same time, but different periods. Sometimes it was when Muhammad had questions or doubts, he would ask the angel, Gabriel, and Gabriel would answer the question, and then that would go to the Quran. And at the same time, the Quran has interesting things too, because it has many of the same stories that Genesis has. You have to read all about the teachings of Islam, what Islam teaches to its followers. So it's also a religion of behavior. So Islam tells the Muslims how to behave, how to act in their lives, in everyday life, and it's also a religion of belief. So they believe in one God, so they are also monotheistic, and they have certain rituals that they have to follow, and they have certain ethical behavior that they need to follow. And all of that is documented in the lesson. So I am encouraging you to read every single one of the documents, also what the book says, and also watch the videos about Islam that you have in the lesson. For instance, another commonality between Christianity and Islam is the belief in the Last Judgment. And you remember that the Last Judgment was also a belief of the Zoroastrian religion. So we see now the continuity. And now this is a very interesting painting, because the Muslims, one of the traditions in Islam is that you cannot represent humans. And certainly there are no pictures of Muhammad. You would not see a picture, a representation, a statue of Muhammad. This is forbidden in Islam. So what you see here is one of those very, very unique representations. This is a painting of the Last Judgment, and what you see here is this is Muhammad, and even though they are painting Muhammad, Muhammad has no face, because they are not supposed to paint the face of Muhammad. So, but what you see, what is very interesting is here already in paradise, Jesus and Moses are here, and some other of the people who have already gone to paradise. And here is Muhammad arriving into paradise and joining the other prophets, because the Muslims believe that Muhammad is only one prophet. He's not the Son of God, he is not God, he's not divine, he's not part of any Trinity. The Muslims believe that God is God alone, there is no God but God, and Muhammad is only a prophet. And they believe that Muhammad was the last prophet sent by God. The next part of the lesson, and this is going to be something that is going to surprise many of you, is the spread of Islam. And you are going to see on this map you have in your textbook how in only just in only a few decades, Islam had spread in an incredible way. Look, this is where Islam began, and this is how Islam had spread in only like 10 years, from the beginning of Islam until Muhammad died. And then, just in a few more years, look, the Persian Empire, remember we talked about the Persian Empire? The Persian Empire became Muslim. But what is amazing is practically all what had been the Byzantine Empire was taken by Islam, and the people who lived here converted to Islam. So look, here is Jerusalem, and all of the Middle East, and even part of Turkey, what today is Turkey. All this land was taken by the Arabs, and most of the people who lived here converted to Islam. And then they continued to spread and continued to spread and continued, and they even crossed the Gibraltar Strait and came and took over all this land. One of the Germanic tribes, the Visigoths, lived here. And they, of course, had converted to Christianity. And very soon, Islam had taken over. And it was only right here in what today is France, the Kingdom of the Franks, that one military leader, we are going to talk about him next lesson, I believe. His name was Charles Martel. He could stop the Muslims in a very important battle that is called the Battle of Tours. And in that battle, the battle happened around here, and in the Battle of Tours, he stopped the advance of the Muslims. And on the other side, here, right here, the Muslims were advancing also here, and also in Constantinople, the Byzantines stopped the Muslims. Now, can you see what is happening here? If either Charles Martel on this side or the Byzantines had not stopped the Muslims, can you imagine what would have happened in the 7th century, around 630 something? Islam would have continued to grow and to spread, and maybe we would be speaking Arabic today, because all this would have been taken by Islam. So Charles Martel here and the Byzantines here were in many ways the saviors of Western civilization. Otherwise, all of Western Europe, all of Europe, would have become Islamic civilization. So, what is the Islamic civilization? I am going to ask you to read very carefully, because during its golden period, the Islamic civilization was absolutely vibrant, amazing, wonderful. We have learned from the Muslims. We, Western civilization, learned so much from the Muslims. In fact, we could almost say that without Islamic civilization and without the Muslims having preserved many of the books of the Greeks and the Romans, we would not know so much about the Greeks and the Romans. But they preserved Rome, they preserved Greek thought, they preserved many books that the Germanic tribes had lost. And by the time, maybe in the 11th, 12th century, by the time the Western people were ready to start learning again, where did they go? They went to the Muslim lands. And this, what you see here, is a beautiful, beautiful mosque that was converted into a Christian cathedral in Spain, in the city of Cordoba. So people say Cordova, but the name is Cordoba. And it is right here in Cordoba that the Muslim culture, one of the places where the Muslim culture developed, and it was so bright that when you read it, you won't believe that so many of the things that we like or you hate, like algebra, comes to us from the Muslims. And with this, we end this introduction to this lesson. And just remember that if we think of Islam as a religion, remember that out of Abraham, this is Abraham when he was about to, you know what this happened here, when he was about to kill his son Isaac. Out of Abraham comes, of course, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.